Okay, good morning. Today we are interviewing 613, the Acapella group, and we're going to start off with a song.
יש דבר חשוב שצריך לדעת, יש הרגש עצום בלב כל ישראל, ואף אחד שבעולם לא ייקח את זה ממני. אז תשמע אחי, תשמע טוב, אנחנו הקדוש מכל העמים, האם תרגיש את זה בתוך הנשמה? שהקדוש ברוך הוא בחר בנו ורוממתנו, באת שליטי כל הלב, נה נה נה. כל הכבוד, ברוך השם, ברוך השם, ברוך השם, ברוך השם, ברוך השם, איילה רמאי רמאי, ברוך השם, ברוך השם, איילה רמאי לילה, ברוך השם, ברוך השם, לה 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 לה, ברוך השם, ברוך השם, לה 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 לה.
Okay, let's get into the interview. Where did you all grow up and where did you all live now?
Mike, you want to start?
Sure. I grew up in Spring Valley, New York, which is in Rockland County, and now I live in Forest Hills, which is in Queens.
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and now I live in Teaneck, New Jersey.
I grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, along with Eitan, which you'll hear shortly, and I currently live in Riverdale, New York.
And surprise, surprise, I grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, and now I live in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Where did you all go to elementary school?
Ooh, elementary school. I went to Flatbush, Yeshiva Flatbush in Brooklyn. Don't know where anybody else went.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, yeah, I guess I know where one person. Well, I know where two people went. Eitan went to Yeshivat Noam.
Yep.
Nathaniel went to Mariah, which
School
is in
of Inglewood.
Inglewood, and Mike went to a different school than all three of us.
I went to New Hempstead Elementary School in Spring Valley, New York, not in Hempstead, New York. That is a different, very different place.
Hmm.
Where did you all go for high school?
I continued on in Yeshiva Flatbush. Nathaniel, I know, went to Frisch, the Frisch school. Eitan went to Teaneck High School. And Mike went to school.
Ramapo High School in
By the way, I was going to say Ramapo High School.
yeah. Ramapo High School in, wait for it, Spring Valley, New York. Not the one in New Jersey where Phil Simms went.
Good to know.
Where did you all go for base metrics, or did you all go to college?
I went to Gush in Israel after high school, and then I went to YU. Nathaniel went to Lev HaTorah in Israel, and then also went to YU. Eitan went to where'd you go to college, Eitan? I don't even know.
Kane.
Kane University. We just
Oh,
were
right. Oh my
born
gosh,
there.
right. Kane University, Kane. And Mike went to Binghamton University, where 613, the beginnings of 613 began.
How did 613 come a group, and how did you get the name 613?
I'm gonna pass this one over to Mike.
Yeah, well, we were the first four guys that were in the group, I was one of them, were guys that went to college together, but we also, and we're in a group together called Kaskasset, an acapella group. But we were also, friends who went to, Friday nights at Chabad, and, we would sing Shabbos songs, at the dinner table. So there was really like a big bond there. And when they graduated, they were kind of like really missing the music scene or the singing scene. So of course they turned to me, who had not yet graduated, and said, we, meaning you, should really put something together. Do some arrangements. Let's start a group. And so it took us a while to get off the ground, but once we finally did that, it was just like, hey, you know what? We need two more people, and we need a name. So we found one of our guys, Stu, just happened to move in down the hall from a guy named Shlomo Ressler, who had already been in a professional Jewish a cappella group named Bitachon. So of course we were saying, well, he's going to be the cream of the crop. If he was in Bitachon, we got to get him. And then eventually Shlomo brought in one of his peers from Bitachon, Moshe Cohen. And so that was, we rounded out our top six. And the name I'm pretty sure it was Stu's wife who came up with it. Because this is way back in 2004. And all the bands then, all like the popular rock bands tended to have like a number in their name, like Matchbox 20 and Blink 182 and Sum 41. So we were like, okay, let's just let's do something with a number. And then obviously 613 is, the big Jewish meaningful number. And we changed it to SIX because there's six of us.
At what did you do all after college?
I became a musician / teacher. So I do a lot of music stuff, whether in 613 or not. Teaching music, recording music, singing at all sorts of events, weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs. Ran choirs also. And I'll let everybody else say what they've done.
I also became a musician and a music teacher, but the music teacher part only lasted for about a year and a half. And from there, I made a move into kind of corporate America, almost, if you will. But it was actually to be the head of a Jewish music publishing company. And when that kind of fizzled out, I wound up at a financial firm, JP Morgan, and now I work at another financial firm called Fiserv, and I do marketing here.
Eitan?
I just graduated college this year, so I'm just starting with some small jobs, but for now I'm teaching theater and improv at schools.
And I did some similar work to what Morty and Mike mentioned through music education and performance. I also worked for B&H for a while, and I helped to run a shul last year when I was in Philadelphia for the year.
At what age did you all start singing?
Ooh, probably different for all of us. I probably sang as a baby, but I think the first thing that I like sang that I remember is in shul singing like Adon Olam at the end of davening. So I was probably like 8, 9 years old, something like that. But I didn't really get into acapella until I was like 15, 16, around then.
Let's see. The schools that I grew up going to, they all had music teachers, music education programs, and kind of the music teaching and the choir were kind of like the same thing, and everybody was in the choir. So I was definitely singing, from like age, I want to say 7 up to like 13. But then when you get to junior high and high school, then you can choose, chorus or an instrument. And so I decided to play in the orchestra and the band. And so I didn't really do much more singing until I got to college. And I kind of got strong-armed into joining this group Cassette, but it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And so that was about age 18 and haven't stopped since.
I was trained in musical theater at a very young age. So when I was younger, I started, I think, when I was 6 years old, and I've been doing that ever since.
We have some home videos that we dug up of me singing some Disney songs around the age of 3. My stage presence, I think, has improved a little bit since then. I got a big solo at my elementary school graduation, and I sang a little bit in high school, and then continued with the right mentorship throughout college and beyond.
Um, how many albums do you have out now?
So we have 8 studio albums, plus we have a few extra things on Spotify. We have like a Hanukkah collection, but 8 full-length albums, and then many other singles and videos that we've released that don't feature, some that don't feature on albums, some that do. Most do.
What is your favorite song of all of your singles or albums?
Ooh, okay. I think my favorite 613 song is I'll go with an original 613 song. My favorite one is Godlu. Sorry, no, Godlu's not a 613 song. My favorite 613 song is Kili Olam Chasdo. It's the first song on album 3, Yesh Chadash.
My perspective is kind of going to be like a little different because um, out of everybody, I probably had to spend the most hours working on every one of these songs, either by arranging them or by overseeing the production, the mixing, or both. So I get kind of sick of our songs before we really even like start doing them. Um, so it's hard to like figure out which one, but I would say this is a very unexpected choice of probably the Thanksgivica anthem, because it still manages to like make me laugh every once in a while. When I haven't heard it in like a few months or a long time, I'll forget that certain things are going to happen, and like I actually laugh. So that's a fun listen for me.
My favorite was also going to be the Thanksgiving anthem. It's just a classic. And my other favorite is Vihisha Amda, the song from 2020. That's my other favorite.
My favorite, at least at the beginning, was the first 613 song that I ever heard, which was the first song on the first album, which is the original Lechadodi, which sprung 613 into stardom. Nice job, Mike. And then one of my favorites since then is Yeshivish Mix on the fourth album that begins with Ligabe, which is a fun one.
What do you do when you're all not singing?
I try to also sing when I'm not singing. Occasionally sleep, but mostly either sing or do some sort of musical thing. Or otherwise I try to go outside and see see what the world is like outside of the recording studio and outside of being next to a microphone.
Parenthood. I've got three kids, one of which just started middle school, the other of which is in elementary school and has a very ambitious baseball career, and another one of which who is two. So they're all pretty intense parenting commitments. That's pretty much all I've got time for between the real job, the quote unquote real job, and all the responsibilities with 613, which gives me my music fill, and watching those three little incredible kids.
Uh, I don't have kids, so I'm a big movies guy. I'm a big movies and TV guy. I've been binging a lot of shows lately, and that's what I like to do when I'm not singing.
Um, my wife is a resident in a hospital, so taking care of her, making sure she has everything that she needs. I also really enjoy sports, watching, playing, etc.
Who did you get inspired by to start singing?
Oh gosh. I don't know that I don't know that I ever listened to something and thought, wow, like that makes me want to sing. Like to start singing. I listened to a lot of music growing up. My parents had a lot of music playing in the house, a lot of Tvekis. So a lot of songs by A.B. Rottenberg, a lot of Kol Achai as a kid, and then a lot of Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel. So I guess probably those to a certain extent inspired me, but as I got older, more like um, classic rock, um, bands like Led Zeppelin. Those were just bands that got me into music in general. And now I would say more like people like Stevie Wonder um, on one side, and people like I guess like Avram Fried, Shalom Lemmer on the other side. So a little bit of a range of things. That's for me.
Um, I'm gonna say there wasn't anybody in particular who inspired me to sing. I could tell you who I think are like, my favorite vocalists and the most ones I think are the most talented and the most skilled, but they wouldn't inspire me to sing. They intimidate me and inspire me to quit singing. But just growing up, I was just always doing as much music as I could. I was playing piano, I was playing cello and saxophone and whatever else I get my hands on. Um, so getting to be a part of a vocal group was really just kind of like the next, okay, let me try this now. This is another cool music thing that I could do. And I really just fell in love with acapella, the way that it's built and the way that it's structured. So I think what inspired me to really hone my craft in singing was the fact that I was now like a part of this really intensely vocal activity. And I was like, you know what, I should probably get better at this.
All right. You're not gonna believe this, but I was a huge 613 fan growing up, and they were actually the ones that got me inspired to be a musician in the first place. I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old, and my mom used to always play the first album over and over again on repeat for me. And I fell in love with 613, and I think it was probably exactly when I heard the song Shema for the first time that I was like, Mom, I think I want to do this. Like, can you sign me up for a class? and I kept listening to them for years and years, and now I'm the newest member.
Eitan, let the record show that you said that you prefer Thanksgiving Anthem to Shema, even though Shema inspired you to be in the group.
Difference between inspire and favorite.
Noted. I was inspired by my dad and my sister, who are very talented vocalists. Also, I went to a very musical shul growing up, so that also had a big impact.
Are you coming out with a new song or album?
Yeah, so we actually we are working on our next song, which will hopefully be for Rosh Hashanah this year. We're in the lyric writing stage and the planning stage, but the game plan is for it to be out for Rosh Hashanah. Have some other new music, some original music in the works. I don't know that we necessarily have plans for an album, but we do have plans to release a whole lot more music for sure.
At what age did you all start performing live?
I think my first performance was probably in high school. I sang in a high school choir at Flatbush. So that was probably my first performance. So I guess like 16, 15, 16, something like that for me.
Does elementary school count? Because if so, my chorus in first grade did some really mean renditions of Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston and Wake Me, Shake Me and Love in Any Language by I don't know who.
When I was 6, I was Peter Pan in Peter Pan. Don't know why I didn't win the Tony for that one.
I performed in our middle school dinner choir. That was probably the first time I can remember.
Who did you sing with and who did you perform with?
For my first performance, you're saying the first one or like in general, always?
In general.
Oh boy. Okay. I've sung and performed with a lot of acapella groups, either as a member or like a touring member. So I've been performing with 613 for now coming up on, we're now at 12 years. I've performed with or sung with groups like the Wise Studs, Sheer Soul, the Maccabeats, the Shabbatones, Harmonia, Pella, Kol Zimra. A lot of these guys have sung for many of those groups as well, and performed for many of those groups. And now also a lot of different Jewish wedding bands. So yeah, a lot of all those things and some solo jobs also. But that's in terms of singing groups, most of the Jewish ones.
I have been a part of a ton of ensembles, choirs, orchestra, band, but you would probably never have heard of most of them because they were all related to one specific high school or college. 613 was really the thing that put me on stage, after my scholastic career. And I'm like Morty, I've definitely had it not nearly as much as Morty because we don't know how Morty has managed to do the amount of gigs that he has in the lifetime that he has lived. But for me, I've also done a bit on the wedding circuit and a bit on the Shabbos Acapella circuit. But the real, the significant performance venue for me is 613.
For me, generally same. I performed with Hazamir in high school. They are a American and Israeli international choir. Um, I've done some work with jazz at Lincoln Center. I've done some work with various theater companies in the Bergen County region. And of course, 613.
When you're talking about the classic Jewish music celebrities, we've sung with almost all of them, whether that was at big concerts with a lot of them together or individually. So you think of those Jewish music giants, we have sung with them at some point.
How do you come up with all your songs?
I don't know. It depends. So when we talk about like the parodies, the ones that we take songs that exist and change the lyrics, we usually talk about it. We try to see if there's, something in like pop culture or something major that's happening, like a movie that's coming out that has songs, or a Broadway show, or a song that's just really popular. Um, and we kind of talk about it and discuss, and then we kind of, vote on it. Um, the sometimes we'll cover stuff that already exists. So that's, if there's a song that's just caught all of our ears, and we're like, no, you know what, we gotta do that song. We gotta put out our own version of it. One guy will mention like, hey, I really think we should probably do this song, and we'll say, yeah, that sounds great. And then if guys in the group write original music, we and bring it to the group, then we try to do that also. So it's kind of a mixture of those three types of songs that we usually do. And it's sometimes comes from one person and then becomes a group discussion, sometimes just a group discussion to begin with. And we decide as a team.
Do you have any funny traveling stories to a show or a wedding?
Anybody have one in mind?
We definitely do, but I think about 99.5% of them would make absolutely no sense to someone outside of 613. Just because they're just, related to individual, personality quirks, or, the things that we love and laugh at about each other. Yeah, I can't think of any like incidents like, well, this one time we were in California. So I can't think of pretty much any of those.
I'm trying to
I
blank
don't know if
also.
anybody else has got any in mind.
I would definitely say that everyone in this group has a really good sense of humor. So we definitely all have a lot of fun when we are traveling together and doing these gigs together. It's definitely, it's work and it's fun too.
Trying to think if there's like a something. I can't even think of anything. And we've stayed in some very bizarre places. I remember staying somewhere for Shabbos once, and I walked into the house and they were showing me around the house, which was, I didn't need a full tour because we weren't going to be doing anything there except for sleeping.
I
They
know.
took us on a full tour of the house. Actually, I think my first 613 Shabbos gig. And they got to the basement, which is where we were sleeping, and then they took us to the garage, where there was just a standalone toilet sitting there, next to a sword. So that was a weird day. Um, but I don't know. We a lot of it is like the places we've stayed. We once stayed in a place called um the something about a horse inn. Mike, do you remember this?
Oh
In
my God.
Sudbury, Massachusetts, where every room was like named after a different type of horse, and all the decorations were like horse pictures and sculptures, and like the bathroom had like just a horse sitting outside. It was a lot of times it's the accommodations, but
Kind
we
of
we
kind of
do we
creepy
talked
with
about
like
we have a lot of fun on the road.
converted like mansion that was kind of like converted into um a B&B or an Airbnb, if you will. I don't think Airbnbs were like really a thing yet. Um, but yeah, like you walk in, it's like, wow, these people really like horses. And there's just no one there to like let you in. You're just kind of like walk into this house and you're like, are we going to be attacked by ghosts? I think it was like we were in this area where the synagogue wasn't really in like an Orthodox community, so it wasn't a synagogue that was really situated near like the residential area or anything like that. So there wasn't anybody that could really house us within walking distance, and there weren't any hotels. So this was like the closest thing that they could find, actual accommodations for us to the synagogue. And so it was like, beggars can't be choosers. So here's this house with people who really like horses. I thought you were going to talk about Morty about that wall full of butcher's knives.
Oh my gosh.
I
In Cranston, Rhode Island.
guess so, yeah.
Yeah. I was walking to this guy's kitchen where we were sleeping, and he just had a wall with I don't know, 15 different knives just hanging from it.
I
Yeah,
would
that's
have put it closer to 50 or 60. It was
I
like
have to,
this,
I can find the picture. I have it
like an
somewhere.
array
Yeah, it was
of
weird.
knives, like more knives than any one person ever needs to own. And also, you can put them in a drawer.
Right. That was the other thing about it.
Do you have any funny stories that happened to you by a show or a wedding?
Hmm. Funny stories from a show. I mean, we have, the usual kind of things where, someone's actually relatively recently back in April. This is just, we have to laugh at it because we don't have a choice, but we did a show where one at a time, every single microphone stopped working in the middle of one song. And we kept like trying to trade microphones to give the microphones that the guy who was singing the lead would have a microphone, and then his microphone cut out, and then I handed him mine, and then mine cut out, and someone else handed him. So we ended up having to do the song without any microphones. But so that was kind of a silly on stage thing. We've had, we sometimes will bring people up on stage to sing and dance with us. That gets kind of silly too. I don't know, you guys think of anything else that's on stage sillies?
I don't know if it was so much funny or like eye-opening, but usually when we go and do shows, it's at somewhere that, A, um, has a Jewish identity or understanding of Jewish, concepts and life and culture and traditions, or at least B, has Jews, period. But every once in a while, it's not the case. And so we got flown out to Białystok, Poland. And it was like, they were calling it like Jewish Heritage Week or Day or something like that. So we're like, okay, cool. So it's like, just the Jewish festival. But the thing that we didn't really understand is that there are no Jews in Białystok, Poland. And you could probably figure out, why or how, but we just didn't really know. So, the act that went on before us was this very nice Catholic girl who was singing Yiddish songs. And then, we did our stuff, and we would say things in between songs, and they had an interpreter who would say it in Polish. So I think I said something like I was making a joke, like, in case you all hadn't, just in case you were unaware, all of us are Jewish, haha, we're Jewish because we're singing in Hebrew. And instead of the audience laughing, they all just went, wow, like a real live one. And it was extremely uncomfortable. So, just kind of a weird situation we were in there.
I remember it wasn't really the concert, but it was at the concert went great. It was a lot of fun. We came home from a gig from Canada, and we were all on the same flight home, and we were stuck on the tarmac for a little bit. So the stewardess had us sing because they all knew that we were a group, and that was a really fun moment.
We
Uh,
also had the first 6 rows just to ourselves. So
yeah,
Yeah.
just all 613 guys. So we sang. That was cool.
that was a crazy flight.
Um, what words of inspiration do you have for the road?
Ooh, that's a good one. Anybody wanna take that one?
There's a lot of hardship going on in the world, but one thing we can always rally around is music and containing a hopeful message within our words. Whether it's a serious song, whether it's a funny song, just trying um, to emit light for the Jewish people and to anyone who's listening to our music, and be inspirational and hopefully, uh, you know, achieving peace.
I mean,
That would be nice.
yeah. I mean, I have nothing more to add to that.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you so much for letting me interview 613, and let's talk after.
Sounds
Thank you
good.
for having
Thanks,
us.
Yuta.
Thank you.